This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. Tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. And I'm here with my man, Tony Crow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk some Knicks Summer League basketball, other Knicks news, NBA news. You know, so we here. Tony, what's poppin' with you, brother? How you feeling?
What's good, Sim? Always a pleasure.
No
Glad
doubt.
to be back.
No doubt. Yeah. You know, like we were talking about before the show, I'm couch hopping right now. Jumping around from spot to spot. I'm all over the place. You know what I mean? Not settled, not stable, but it's coming soon. You know what I mean? It's coming soon. Summer League. We're in the middle of it.
It's over.
It's over, right? Knicks 1-3, 1-3, right? In Summer League. Lost today to the Indiana Pacers. Tony, what are your takes from Summer League right now?
Well, first off, I think Huck Party, you know what I mean? I've been high on him from last year. I was interested to see how he looked coming off the injury. He looked like he hasn't missed a step. You know what I mean? He still has that energy. So I think he's a lock. You know what I mean? I was looking to see what the other young guys really did and how they could kind of stamp themselves. I'll be honest. I haven't come away super impressed. You know what I mean?
Neither have I.
I did my last show, you know, talked about Kolek and questioned, you know, was he ready in those first 2 games? He didn't show much. That third game, though, you know what I mean. It was like he had something to prove. Came out and had 23 points in the first half. But the biggest standout in that was he was aggressive offensively, and I thought for him to be able to solidify himself, he has to make himself an offensive threat first, and then his facilitating will be able to be opened up. You know what I mean? So I think he showed that, but I think he still has a long way to go. As far as standouts, Beauchamp, the last 2 games, he looks about as ready or the most ready out of the young guys. I like the potential of our 2 rookies. I would even give them an edge. We got a big man that could potentially be needed, knowing Mitch's injury history, and the other kid, Muhammad. I like. He has a long way to go, but I like his potential as well. I told you from the highlights, he looked like Pascal to me. And I still see that in his game, you know what I mean, in his size and his mobility. McCullough, another standout. He might be ready to contribute if given the opportunity and potential. I like Dink as well.
I mean, I don't know where I'm at. You know what I mean? They're in the middle of development, so I'm not down on them. I don't know if we really have anyone that's going to be ready to contribute this year. You know, maybe Huck. I'm not going to say maybe Huck. I think he was able to contribute last year, right?
Got Sims out of here.
Got Sims out of yeah. You know what I'm saying? Got Sims out of here. I don't know about Tyler on an NBA level. If he's ready to like really, really contribute to, if we consider this a championship contender, a championship level team, I don't know if Tyler is ready to contribute there. Dadiet, I'm not sure if he's ready. I don't know. I think we have some young guys that have um, tools, and those tools need to be sharpened,
Polished. Yep.
polished, right? We got to develop them. We got to continue to work with them. But when you're on a championship level, though, you're supposed to have young players like that, right? You're not supposed to be having, you're not going to have these superstars coming off the bench because, I mean, not off the bench. You're not going to have these superstar young players. You know what I mean? Because you either traded away your assets to get more established veterans, or you drafted low, right? Because you're a championship level team. You know what I mean? So I think we have young guys that just need to continue to work and grow and develop. I knew this was coming up. I knew this was coming up. We already knew it.
Okay.
I'm gonna star that, and we'll bring that back later. Okay, we'll bring it back later.
Well,
We already knew that was coming up. Go ahead, Tony.
I just, we was talking before we went live. This roster right now is nine deep off the jump. You know what I mean? With the two recent additions, and then we got either Deuce and Mitch or Deuce and Hart or whatever. So that's 4 guys off the bench for sure. With Yabusele, Clarkston, Deuce. So that's 9 deep. I don't see us going more than 10 deep. So that really only leaves one more spot for somebody to kind of squeeze into that rotation.
Right.
So I know it was a lot of people that was like, "Oh, play the kids. The kids didn't play. Tibbs, da 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 da." They're not gonna play this year. Not consistently.
Not consistently.
It might be him in, him out, him in, him out, just to get a taste.
Right.
But championship aspiring teams are not going to. If we're relying on any one of these guys, to be honest, that means something went wrong.
Something went wrong somewhere. I agree with that 100%.
Now, if somebody shows out and shows up and earns their way and outplays somebody, that's a totally different story. But even that seems a little bit far-fetched right now.
Right. And that 10th spot is probably going to be taken by a veteran. Ben Simmons, Landry Shamet, right? It's probably going to be taken by a veteran. These young guys, they got to take their lumps. They got to take their lumps. You know what I mean? I don't know what the expectation is for them this year. I think they'll get a few chances here and there. Right? If we have a lot of injuries, somebody will play. Early in the season, maybe they get a chance to play. But I'm not expecting anything consistent from the young guys.
And I just realized I didn't even count Huck Porty as in the 9, right? Because if it's the original starting 5, you got Deuce and Mitch, Yabusele, and Clarkston. So I didn't even include Huck Porty in that spot.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean? So I think you're right about Kolek. I think he has to look to be a threat. Right? I think he has to look to, make himself a weapon, make people respect him. You know what I mean? And then when they respect him and they stay glued to him, now it's going to open up space for him to, use his creativity to help for other people. So I think that's something that Tyler's he's gonna have to focus on. That I think his natural instinct is to distribute and to facilitate, but he may need to really look to get his shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then let it open up. Let it open up for everybody else. He doesn't have a lot of speed, so he's got to play with
Craftiness.
craftiness. That's the word I was looking for. Right? He's got to play with craftiness. He's got to play with his head. He's not going to blow. Every once in a while he might have a burst of speed, but he's not going to blow by you. He's not going to jump over you. So he's got to play with craftiness and smarts, which I think he has.
I was gonna say some. One thing in his favor is he's always been his size, right? So he's always had to play with craftiness. He's always relied on basketball IQ more than just athleticism or things of that nature. So I think the path for him is still there because it's not like he has to change anything. It's really about refining it and continuing to grow it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, he's just got to keep working. He's got the perfect point guard in front of him in Jalen Brunson. When we talk about craftiness, right? So that should help him a lot if he gets a chance to work with Jalen. I think that should help him a lot. So you keep him around. You know what I mean? You keep him around, let him learn. Let him fight through the G League. Let him, get as many practice reps as possible. Let him get a few reps in the league when he gets a chance to. Dadiet, listen, Dadiet's on the team. He's a first round draft pick. He's on the team. He has a roster spot. I mean, so does Tyler. But that is, I think you're right. He's got some work. I think he does have a jumper. You know what I mean? He's got a jumper. But he's got some work to do. I think you said it best the other day when you said you're not sure at, like what is his specialty? If you're not this all around scorer or whatever, what's your specialty? I don't know if he has one. You know what I mean? I don't know if he has a definitive role or is he just an all around player? Oh, what do you think? Well, what do you think about Dadiet?
Oh, I'll be honest. Like, I think the best thing he has going for him right now, in my opinion, personally, is that he's still so young. He still has, you know what I mean? When we talking about Tyler, when we talk about McCullough, when we talk about Beauchamp, these guys are closer, pardon me, closer to being who they are, you know what I mean, in the league. Dadiet, on the other hand, he can still develop a defined skill set. You know what I mean? It may be the shooting. You know what I mean? It may be the defense. He's so young that all of it can grow. You know what I mean? Every aspect of it could grow. But it's a long timeline for him, I think. I think it's the longest timeline for him. But that's a good thing, him being so young and being able to grow into that. Even McCullough is older. Him and Dink, those are the two that I feel like have the highest potential because of how young they are and the things they already can do. Well, but nothing is definitive, nothing is defined. So, those are the two guys that I'm looking at, like 2 years from now? Like, what can they be? You know what I mean? Not necessarily any type of contribution immediately. And I know you was super high on Dadiet.
I really thought
Yeah.
that he had a skill set to contribute. You know, obviously he had, had and has some things to work on, but he has the body type. Um, thought he could. I thought his 3-point shooting could help. I thought he could shoot. You know what I mean? And then let his game evolve from there.
You know what I don't like about Dadier, and this might even be a game changer if he could kind of develop this. He just seems so lax all the time. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't seem to. I want him to be aggressive. I want him to feel like Dink has that. You know what I mean? It might he might throw up some reckless shots or not look to pass or whatever. But you can see he believes in himself, Dink. Where Dadier, it's almost like going through the motions. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't. I don't want to call it killer instinct because it's not even there yet.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have. And I don't want to call it lazy either.
Fire?
You know what I mean? Fire. There
Fire.
you go. He doesn't have the fire. It seems like he's just going through the motions.
Yeah.
But that could be with his age as well. You know what I mean?
JJ said Dadier reminds me of Knox.
Yes, that's a great.
We don't want another Kevin Knox. That was my guy. I thought Kevin Knox had the skill set, man. I thought he had the skill set.
I mean, it's hard to agree with that and say not in a bad way, but I agree with that. And maybe I didn't want to say it because I know there's like a negative conversation on it. But that's a great example. It's messed up. The first person that came to my head was Nilakina, but I was like, nah, that's just the French thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and Nilakina had a little bit of fire though. You know what I mean?
A little fire. Knox has none. Knox had none. I was like, come on. Like the first summer league game, he showed some fire. He had a couple. I think he had 1 or 2 30-point games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Knox was my guy too.
it never materialized for Kevin Knox, man.
Oh man,
that's good. Never materialized for Kevin Knox.
Who said that? Who said that?
That was
JJ. Salute, man. Salute. Yeah. That was a great comparison.
Anthony D said, I still remember the night when Zion ripped the ball out of Knox's hands and Sim signified for Knox all night long. Yo, I thought Knox had the tools, man. I thought he had the tools to be a really good NBA player. I wasn't saying all-star this or that, but I thought he had the tools.
And Knox had a quicker trigger than Dadiet. You know what I mean? Like he was less hesitant than Dadiet. Like that. So that just made me. Knox was a little bit older though, right? Than Dadiet.
I think so. I don't know. Knox
came in. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was
young.
He was young for 1 year. 1 year in college.
Yeah. Matter of fact, wasn't he the youngest player in the league?
Yeah.
Who came in?
Yeah. Oh man, why we had? I don't know if I'm gonna get that out of my brain now, bro.
Damn, that's crazy.
Mm.
That's crazy. Well, hopefully Dadiet, hopefully that's not gonna be the same route. Not gonna be on the same trajectory. Hopefully Dadiet is gonna be something different. We'll see. I don't know. Diawara, I think he has a lot of tools. I think Najee has tools.
Yeah, both of those guys, both the rookies.
You know what I'm saying? They got some tools to work with. They very, very, very underdeveloped right now,
But they're active.
but they're active. Exactly.
Like so you don't gotta even teach that part. Now it's about
Right.
it's gonna be easier to hone their skills in than to get a guy like Dadiet to kind of, you know what I mean, get that activity, that fire, that you know what I mean. Like even Huck Porty got that activity. Like
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that is hard to teach. So if they already have the activity, now you just got to hone it and mold it. You know what I'm saying? And work with them on the offensive side, work with them, really had to play defense. You know what I mean? So, there's some guys that have some raw talent, raw tools. They just need to be worked with. You know what I'm saying? Help them to develop, help them to grow. You know what I
who
mean? Now, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, who's on your most ready list as far as like, and maybe I shouldn't say most ready. Yeah, let's do it. Like most ready. I don't know where we would put the middle tier at. You know what I mean? Like, and then least ready. Cause I really like. Obviously, I would put Huck Portia on a top the most ready level. Just under him is probably McCullough and Bojamp, and
Mhm.
then just under them, I probably would have to put Tyler there above the two rookies, but the rookies might have an easier path into becoming something or getting in the rotation
Yeah.
than
I mean,
Tyler,
I mean,
and then Dadier and Dink, they're probably on the bottom tier,
mhm.
but they have the most potential maybe.
Okay. I think a lot's gonna depend on what the Knicks need too. Like you were mentioning that earlier. A lot's gonna depend on what the Knicks need going into the season or throughout the season. If they need a big man, then Huck Porty's gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
If they need a wing player, then one of those wings might play. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be that for these young guys. I think Huck Porty is probably the most likely to play. You know what I mean? Because of a need for another big, and Mitchell Robinson's ability to get hurt, if you want to call it an ability.
and and if he's starting, if Mitch is
Right.
not starting, then maybe Huck Porty falls in that scale of the need. You know what I mean? Or you might see the wing before Huck Porty if Mitch is not starting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I also expect to see Yabusele playing some small ball five at times too. So
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to um what my man Nostalgic Nick said. He said the kids didn't play last year. How much do you think that has to do with their performance in summer league?
I, to me, the expectations was high for me in summer league, and for the most part, they disappointed. Whether they all play whether they played a lot of minutes or not, Kolick had opportunity in the regular season. It took some guys, going down, getting hurt, but he played. Obviously, Huck Porty played. What I mean? He took Sims' rotation spot until he went down. McCullough was hurt all year, and he even got some burn that, what I mean, once he became available the last 4 or 5 games or whatever it was. Dadiet, I think he played early, and then the majority of his time was in the G League.
Mm-hmm.
I never really understood the play the kids more. Like, I was advocating for Kolek a little bit, but other than that, you know what I mean? Like, once Party saw the floor, he earned his way in. You know what I mean? Which I think you can't really say that about anybody else. In the small opportunity they was given, they didn't earn any steps further. You know what I mean? Other than Huck Party, he seized the moment,
Right.
and that's what you got to do when you're a young guy, when you're not a lottery pick, and there's no pressure to go out and play you.
Yeah. So Sean said, this was probably the longest time these guys ain't played basketball in their lives under Thibodeau. You know, Sean, most of the players that enter the NBA don't play. You understand what I'm saying? It's only 30% of the league actually gets major playing time. It's a natural progression. Unless you're a star player, most players from high school to college start to see less playing time. From college to the NBA, well, maybe in college, you know, your top level players, but most players in the world, from high school to college, they see less playing time. The players that do see a lot of playing time get into the G League. They get into the G League. Some of them are going to see less time in the G League. Your better players are going to play more, obviously. Well, summer league. Some of the players are going to play less time in summer league. And then if they go to the G League, they're going to play less time. Right? They get to the NBA, they're going to play even less time. Unless you're a star. Now, if you're a star, then yes, you're just going to play. But most players aren't stars. Most players aren't going to be very good in the NBA.
And most players don't know how to adjust to the transition, because you might have been a star in high school. So unless you're aware of that transition from high school to college, when you're not one of those guys, you know what I mean? You got to figure it out. And then guess what? When you get to the league, you could have been a star in college.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You could have. When you get to the league, you might have to figure it out again. What you got to seize the opportunities.
Yeah,
and people.
Obi Toppin was player of the year, right? Player of the year. He gets 17 minutes off the bench in the NBA. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So did Tibbs hurt the kids? No, I don't think so. You know, they may have seen less time in a game, but they still were practicing against NBA players. And the Knicks didn't practice a lot. That happens in the NBA. Tom Thibodeau told us that a long time ago. Long time ago. But they all got time in the G League. And was able to play in the G League. They weren't going to play every game in the NBA. It wasn't going to happen. That's why the NBA developed the G League. So the guys could learn and guys could play. And I don't care. You know what? I'm just going to say, I don't care. Right? The Knicks summer league team, a lot of second and third year players on the team, you know, or older, you know, playing in summer league, playing against brand new people just coming to the summer league, people just coming out of college. We're talking players that have a year, 2, 3, 4 years to develop and grow and get stronger, and we're still not as good as a guy just coming out of college. Come on.
As much as I like Beauchamp, it took him 2 games to, you know what I mean? It took him to game 3 and 4 to kind of show that he's been in the league for how many years?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't think you can put it on that. Can't put it on that. You know what I'm saying? Because even if that's what you want to say, guys have a responsibility themselves to keep
Seize the
growing and
opportunity.
developing. You know what I'm saying? The season ended. Okay, I got this opportunity to work on this. Where all season long, you still should have been working on things. You can find a gym. The practice gym is open. You might not have an official practice, but the practice gym is open. You got coaches. You got trainers to work on stuff. So, and then you get a chance to put it into action. These guys have been playing ball in places. I can guarantee you that. Maybe let's just resolve to the fact that we don't have as much talent as we thought we had. And that's okay. That's okay because we're supposed to be a championship level team. You know what I mean? Supposed to be a championship level team. And when you're a championship level team, you may not have that level of talent at the end of your bench. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
And all right, I see a lot of people, Chris Gotti, Sean, talking about the lack of practice, which is well documented, and it's funny how this was Tibbs, and I hate that we still having this Tibbs conversation, but this was Tibbs adjusting, you know what I mean, to the new NBA, because obviously I see other people, in the midst of this off season, mainstream media going with the narrative of, oh, Tibbs runs these guys to the ground and practices for 3 hours, da 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 da. So they're talking about the old narrative. When if you look at Josh Hart, if you look at Brunson, when they talk about the lack of practice, they like it. You know what I mean? The veteran players like the lax practices, the minimal practices, and the practices being
Right.
more like shoot arounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to also balance that out.
And that's one way. Exactly. That's one way. People talk about the minutes being played. That's probably a way that he balanced it out and offset. But we still talk about, we got Mike Brown now,
who doesn't have the reputation of light practices.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how the old school 2-3 hour practices affects the team.
Yeah.
And how the veterans feel about it.
and he's an experienced coach, right? So he's been with veterans before. So I'm sure he knows how to approach the situation, I think. And from the beginning, I'm sure he's gonna approach the veterans and be like, listen, from the beginning, I need you to be boom, 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 boom. We can maybe tailor it off later on based, because you're gonna be playing, and you may need time for your bodies to rest, but we gotta set the standard. We need you to be here. We need you doing this, we need you doing that. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe it tailors off. I don't know, but I think he'll know how to approach the veterans. We don't have anybody that old though. Like super old, so you know what I mean. So I think we should be okay there. Yeah, I think we should.
I agree. I wasn't putting it as a slight. I was just saying it's gonna be an adjustment, right? And just like you said, maybe the heavy practices or the longer practices, the more practices, maybe that his way of offsetting it is using these other guys in more spot duty and spot minutes, or maybe you'll see guys sitting out a game here or there because the practices are heavy and given the opportunity to see somebody else. Who knows? What I mean? It's yet to be determined. But back to what I said earlier, we 9 deep, 10 if you count Hukporty in a strong rotation already. It's gonna be tough to see minutes for any of those other young guys.
Yeah.
Some of these guys ain't even, you know what I mean, are gonna be on two ways, and you know what I mean. Even that is limiting the time that we can see them. So
Yeah. Iconoclast must be playing it on rewind. He said, "No, Dadiet's not Knox. Stop projecting." That was a while ago, my friend. It's a while ago, but I dig it. I got you. Tony, let me ask you, switching gears a little bit. Who Ben Simmons or Landry Shamet?
I would probably still go with Ben. Like there's an argument for Shamit with the chemistry, with the familiarity. You know what I mean? Like we were speaking about this earlier off air, and I do think we still didn't see like his best showing last year. If you want to talk about minutes, maybe he should have saw some more minutes at times last year. You know what I mean? That where he became available, but I still think that the value. Again, I'm gonna keep saying it. He has two elite skill sets, maybe even three if you want to add rebounding to that. You know what I mean? But two elite skill sets that will help this team tremendously, and that's or three: ball handling, facilitating. You know what I mean, and switchability on defense. So those are elite level that he's bringing. You know what I mean? I think his benefits are higher than Shamit. Part of that though is me admitting I don't think we saw the best of Shamit last year either. So
Right. I'm going with Simmons. I believe he just fits something that this team needs, right? And that's a distributor and a defender, right? We need more defenders on this basketball team, in my opinion. And I've been saying for a very long time that we need a guy that can distribute the ball so Jalen Brunson doesn't have to try to do that, right? A guy that can get the ball to other people, get the offense flowing in other ways. I think Ben Simmons can help us in that way. You know what I mean? So he's 6'10", he can defend four positions. You know what I mean? I think you can really use a Ben Simmons more than you can use Landry Shamet. Nothing against Landry Shamet. I just think that Ben and Chris Gotti, all five positions, maybe, right? You're right. That Ben can guard. I just think that Ben fits a need way more than Landry Shamet for this basketball team.
and I have less concern about the mental state of Ben Simmons on a minimum contract than I do of him being like one of the highest paid guys in the league. And at that point, you getting big money anyway.
Right.
Right. Like I'm more confident that he has something to prove getting a minimum contract and potentially choosing us, because I'm sure we're not the only team out there that has been in conversation. So if he's choosing, and to me, that's a sign of I want to be in the league. I want to play basketball. I want to prove myself. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at it that way. If we was talking about Ben Simmons, under a big contract or wanting a big contract, that changes everything. But his skill set at the minimum, I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I know people are concerned about his shooting. If Mike Brown, one of the reasons we brought Mike Brown here is that he can utilize the offense better. Let him figure out a way to use him. Maybe the ball is in his hands. I think Ben Simmons is the guy. If the ball is in his hands, he can penetrate to the basket. Someone's going to guard him. You know, yeah, he can pass the ball from different positions on the floor as well, from different spots on the floor. I don't know. I think he's the natural fit, a natural fit. I think he fits many needs of this basketball team, um, and will be yeah. I think he fits many needs on his basketball team, and he would be the guy that we need to get him. I think we need to get him, and I think someone said in the chat earlier he should have a chip on his shoulder. Hopefully he does.
And
See some videos of him knocking down threes this summer. I mean, a lot of people can do it without defense. You know what I mean? A lot of people can do it without defense, but maybe he's turned a leaf.
and even if that's the case, it's a mindset thing now, because guess what? If he's getting threes in the league, it's gonna be without defense. Like they not gonna be guarded from there until he changes their mind. So
right. Anthony D said, "Can Mitch shoot? Can he do anything offensively?" And we're talking about Ben like he's trash. I mean, Ben. I mean, I don't know if he's been an All NBA player. He's been an All Star before, right?
He's been an all defensive player.
He's been an all defensive player. I don't know. He's a guy that can fit. He fits this team. His skill set fits this basketball team more than Landry Shamet. I mean, we seen in the playoffs last year, we lacked ball handlers, and I know we lacked ball handlers, right? We picked up Clarkson, who can help us in that regard, but he's more of a scoring threat. We need someone who can get other people involved, and I think he can do it, and I think he fits this roster. You know what I mean? We need that ball handling. It will relieve Jalen Brunson so much, and probably help him have one of the best years of his career, in my opinion. He's going to be fresher because he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands every single time down the floor when he's on the floor, because you got somebody else who can create for other people. That's.
And again, I'm gonna say it again. He would be choosing to come here.
Mm-hmm.
He would be choosing to try to, get a better contract than that minimum contract. So there's motivation for him. This ain't, you know what I mean? This ain't like, oh, I just want to continue my career and keep playing getting paid minimum contracts. I think he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder, or if you don't want to say that, he's gonna have something to prove.
Yeah. Let's see. I really hope. I don't know what the Knicks continue to inquire about Ben Simmons. They have interest in Landry Shamet. I don't know what the holdup is. It could be on the player side, the team side, but I hope they come away with Ben Simmons. What's your thoughts on Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard? We start with Bradley Beal going to LA Clippers.
I like it. Like, again, when I had my interest in Beal, I knew the Clippers was an option as well, and it went back to his choice, his decision. So I think there's motivation there. I think he fits. I think they became a lot more dangerous.
Okay.
And I like the moves they did prior to. So I know a lot of people questioned them losing Powell, but now Beal's production makes up for Powell's absence. So it's almost like the trade that they made. You know what I mean? Like that nullifies the trade, and everything is a plus. Now they got a Collins over there. You know what I mean? A big power forward, athletic guy to catch lobs for. I think he could play the Clint Capella role for James Harden, and you know younger version. So probably not gonna get the same rebounds as Capella and play the same defense, but that offensive lob threat that James has been missing, he gets that back with. You know what I mean? So I think they became dangerous. Best team in LA for sure.
You know, I'm just yeah. You know, I'm just not. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the Clippers right now are just. I feel like they're throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. I don't know if they really have a plan. They look at it and say, "Yeah, this is definitely it." Besides, let's just go get another baller. You know what I mean? We'll see if they can put it. We'll see if they put it all together. They could put, they definitely have talent on the team. There's no doubt about that. They got major talent. But they keep just being a team that stays here. No, it seems like they just stay here no matter what they bring to the team.
Well, I will say
I'm reason with how they're adding people to the team.
I will say this: the biggest thing that has been the biggest thing that's hurt them over the last couple of years has been injuries. You know what I mean? And Bill does fit into, you know what I mean? I know he's a little injury prone himself. So I'll say this. If healthy, they are probably the most dangerous team to OKC.
Okay.
If Bill's healthy, if Kawhi's healthy, they are I can't see a more dangerous team, to be honest. And injuries, I think it's not like they've had the epic collapses or like it's been injuries year in and year out. Is PG healthy? Is Kawhi healthy? Come back for 2 games, sit out a game. You know what I mean? Like in the playoffs. So I think that's what's killed them more than anything else.
Okay. What about Damian Lillard going back to Portland? It surprised me. I never doubted that one day he would go back to Portland. I just didn't think it would be now. I thought he was still looking to win the championship, even though he's sitting out a year. You know what I mean? I thought he would still be looking to go to a championship contender.
I love it.
He's that kind of guy.
I love it.
He's that kind of guy.
To me, it's almost like quietly acknowledging the mistake of leaving. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that he did it now rather than, let me end my career here. Not saying he's not going to end his career there. I'm saying, you know what I mean, ring chasing, and then like, let me do my farewell tour. Like, no, let me come help. Number one, now I'm solidified, right? He's gonna end it. He's gonna be the all-time everything for the Blazers. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be their guy, the statue. You know what I mean? Like, but now you get to help. You get to be a mentor. At this point, going back now, there is no pressure. I left. I tried to go get a ring. That everybody was like, "Oh, go get a ring. Why you still?" Nobody, you never gonna hear that again. Go get a ring. You know what I mean? Now it's gonna be like, oh, look what he's doing with Scoop. You know what I mean? Look how he's helping Chauncey become the coach he could become. So I love it. I think this is gonna be one of the greatest NBA stories.
Yeah, and it kind of works out. Portland, they got rid of that big contract. Now he comes back at something more reasonable. You know what I'm saying? They get to say, right now, you know what? We're never going to trade him again. If he wants to be here, he's going to be here. We're going to finish it off in Portland. And I'm sure he's probably like, whatever you guys need me to do. And as I age, whatever you need me to do, but I'm going to be in Portland. You know what I mean?
I think it's a great story.
You know what I mean? I'd like to see him become a really good team, too. They just traded for Drew Holiday, so maybe they got something building. similar to what Detroit just did. We'll see. I mean, obviously, Dame's not going to play this year, but when he comes back, he's still going to be. He may not be the same, but he's going to be all-star caliber at the very least. You know what I mean? So, they may have something brewing for a little bit. Might take a little bit, but they may have something brewing. Interesting. I didn't expect it. I thought we'd see him maybe in Miami. But he decided, you know what? I'm not chasing. I'm just going back home to Portland, and I'm gonna finish it out there. So that is pretty dope. That's definitely dope. Shout out to him. I really hope it works out. I like Damian Lillard.
I like him more for going back, to be honest.
Man.
I respect that.
Yeah, definitely. And anything else, man, you wanted to bring up, talk about?
What do you think of the whole LeBron Lakers situation? Not Knicks related, not him coming here. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Oh, or even the fact that it's the first year he's actually going to become a free agent. You know what I mean? Like didn't opt out of his contract and re-up. There's been talks about the Lakers didn't offer anything. Then there was also talks of him not wanting an offer.
Right.
So it's just been kind of like up in the air. Let me ask you this. Do you think he stays a Laker this year, or do you think they move him?
I think he stays a Laker. I think he stays a Laker this year.
And do you think that is by choice, or that's the Lakers' choice? Because that's a big chunk of change that becomes free, you know what I mean, off the books if they just keep him for the year, as opposed to if they trade him. Are they trading him for expirings? Or are they trying to trade him for long-term pieces? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. It's interesting to watch.
It doesn't seem like he wants to be there, even though he signed. I mean, he took the player option.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like he wants to be there.
Right. I mean, I can look. There's something about LeBron right now. He knows he can play at an all NBA level and all of that, but there's a little bit of fire going, I think. I see him after they get eliminated from the playoffs and he's
laughing and joking. Yeah.
I feel like there's a little fire going. If I'm a team, I don't know if I'm a little afraid of that. That he's not gonna come and give you what LeBron can give. I'm a little that
especially trading for him, right?
Yeah, especially trading for him. I'm a little afraid that he's satisfied with his career. He's satisfied with his legacy, and he should be. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's, but like he knows his legacy, knows his career, and he's like, I'm ready. I'm good with going out with this.
I agree with you to an extent. I agree with you, but I also don't think he goes. I don't think he retires without a farewell tour. I can't. You know what I mean? So what you're saying is true, but I still could see him playing 2 more years somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And announcing that last year.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then and he's not going to do a farewell tour with, it's going to be with a marquee team if he's going to do a farewell tour.
Or Cleveland.
Or Cleveland. Or Cleveland. I got call on the line. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please.
Sim, what's going on, Anthony D?
Oh, what's going on, man? What's happening with you? Came up as
from an
unknown.
undisclosed location tonight.
Okay, all right. I feel you.
What's going on,
I'm
fellas?
chilling, man.
I wasn't gonna call in, but hold on here. Salute to the Knicks fans. Did I hear you and Tony Crow give up the ghost for Dame that it's fine now that he can go home and go kick his feet up on the porch and pat the kids on the head, and he doesn't need to chase a championship anymore. That man is was voted a top 75 ball player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Whatever his career was with Portland, he had his moments, had an opportunity against that Western Conference Golden State team, whether you believe that Portland was good enough or not. That's not the argument. When cats like Barkley and Ewing and to their very dying day of their primes was clutching and clawing to try and win a championship, we're just saying that Dame can just go home now and say, oh, but it's great, it's good. We don't want to see him. We don't want to see him competing at the highest level anymore. Now he's supposed to be a mentor at this stage when we've never really seen him in that moment. Come on now.
I would love to see him in that moment, but I also don't want to see him bouncing around from team to team, searching for the championship. I personally would rather see any player say, you know what, I'm gonna battle and I'm gonna keep battling with this team and try to bring them up instead of Charles Barkley bounced around, right? All these different teams trying to win a championship, and nothing.
Because the ring, it means something, Sim.
It does. It does.
When you're the best of the best, and you're the best of the best, it means something. Not that your career should be defined by it.
Let me ask you this.
I'm not saying that because not everybody, is gonna win it. But the best of the best, they're always trying to get it because you want to be in that room, that conversation.
So where do you think Dame should have went? And also keep in mind, wherever he's going, he's not playing next year. So that's a year. That's another year removed. But where do you think he should have went?
So here's my thing with Dame, right? Over the last, I want to say 6 seasons, because this started before pandemic. Every year would come into he's not happy with Portland. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. They're just falling short. Maybe not. And this is in smack dab of his peak of his prime of his career, right? Every year we go into this nonsense, going into the league with it. Then finally, when Portland is like, okay, we're willing to do this now, he's unhappy. Now, we don't know the gist of why he's unhappy. We just understood that it's family and blah, 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 whatever. But it's not a marriage to Milwaukee that he wants, that he wanted. And in the beginning, he pouts. He pouts on a coach that is 37. Was it 30 and 13 or what was Adrian's record? 30 and whatever it was. It was a very good record.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Freak never get on the same page. So what I think of Dame is that his career trajectory could have been a lot different if he had took it more seriously 6-7 years ago when he was that guy. We forget those parts that I mentioned.
But I think so you're saying it started in Portland? Because from Dame's perspective, he never wanted to be traded. From Dame, where he came out publicly, he never wanted to leave. The problem was he also wanted his money. And that what you see going on now was going on with Portland too. They like, how can we pay you this money and bring the pieces in to get you where you need to be? That's where the conflict was. It wasn't about he wanted to be traded. And then it was, if you're gonna trade me, this is where I want to go. They don't want to trade him where he wants to go, like most stars get the privilege of doing. You know what I mean? So that's where the pouting comes in. But
right, and
I don't think he didn't try with Giannis.
No, but I'm saying at what age does him and the team are coming to this locking of heads? By that time, he's 34. See what I'm saying? He's already now entering out of his prime when him and the team and now the team is not going to be less compliant to do what you want because you also want a big bag and you 34.
I mean, the bag was already there. He already had the contract. At that point, it was just like any other star in that position. They want to go where they want to go. And for the most part, the teams acquiesce and take care of the guy that's been there their whole career and tried to get them over the hump. Like I've got no issues with Dame. I don't know how I understand what you're saying, but I think at this point, currently in his career, where he might not even play again anyway, to be honest, you know what I mean? I like the fact that he goes back there. There's no pressure on him because, number one, he's not playing for a year. When he comes back, he's still got to inch his way back to whoever he's going to be, because chances are he's not going to be the Dame of past.
Right.
So, yeah, at that point, I got young guys on this team. Let me help these guys become the best players they could become. Let me help these guys potentially, I'm not saying realistically, but potentially help these guys grow into a championship team. And maybe I'm still on this team for the ride when they get there. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not playing, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm playing garbage time minutes, but to go back there and be a part of the team that I started, that in my heart of hearts didn't want to leave. I think
that
that's
championship
awesome.
is still yours. Where if let's say he went to, I don't know,
anywhere else,
Boston, Dallas, the Clippers, right? And he rides the end of the bench, doesn't get as much, gets 10 minutes a game at later on, and I don't know if that would happen to him, but let's just say hypothetically speaking, and they win a championship. How much is it really his? Where in Portland, if that happens and you win it, it's still a lot yours. You know what I mean? I don't know. I Melo was ring chasing for a little bit. I didn't like it. He was popping around with this team, that team, trying to win something.
Or was he chasing a job?
I mean,
it started.
I don't know if he was ring chasing. I think he was ring chasing a job.
First, he was ring chasing. Then he started chasing a job.
Oh, and that's no disrespect to Melo, because we saw how the league made him show his what.
Yeah.
Just to get back into the league for a dude that had never had any issues. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother, well, I just see it a little differently. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, my thing with Dame goes back to a few years when you saw Portland they weren't really trying to push the needle.
Yeah.
They weren't. You see what I'm saying? It was, the excuse today would be, well, we don't want to go over the second apron, because that's the new thing now.
Right,
we don't want to. Back then it was, well, you want
small
your
market
money,
team.
Cover here. We're kind of in the middle of the pack, kind of way. Let's see what happens.
But I think that was always the organization. I don't know if it was ever Dame per se. That's where my confusion with where you're coming from is. Like, I think Portland mishandled it on many levels. I don't know if Dame ever did the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you're not you see, here's the one thing I respect with LeBron, especially when he really had the power. He doesn't have the power anymore. Just to going back to your conversation, he forced the organization, always kept the organization that he was with on their toes. Okay, This is what I want to do. So guess what? This is what you want to do as well. Because what? I'm age 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. In that 10-year span, it's not what you want to do. It's what I want to do. Why? Because I'm young. Okay? And while I'm young, we're not going to waste that. You never got into going into the season next year. No. Their moves, his team, his camp, focused. This is what we're doing, and whatever team wants to roll with this, you're going to get on board here. That's the difference. He's not LeBron, right? But again, like I said, he's top 75 player.
Would you have liked to see him right now sign with the Knicks? If the Knicks would have been able to, would you have liked to see him sign with the Knicks?
Me, I would take a chance with it, right? Me per se, I could let you sit there and get better and decide if you want to come back and that. You still got $140 million to sit there and play with and do what you want to do with the finest rehab facilities and all that. Whatever. Because I still remember the days when the Lakers plucked Bob McAdoo. Bob McAdoo was one of the greatest ball players of all time. He's on their bench. He's backing up Kareem. Okay? When you have that wherewithal, you don't care. You the Boston Celtics, you go pluck one of the greatest centers of all time. You don't know if he could play or not, but he comes in and he gives you one fantastic year, and you're one of the greatest teams of all times. You add to that. You don't sit around here talking about, 5 rookies and what would Kolek do, and what are we talking about?
I mean,
those are 2 different destinations.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Knicks, I would definitely have done it.
You brought it. You called me on that one, son.
Yeah,
we had that conversation.
We had that conversation. I would have tried to. I mean, obviously he got a nice contract with Portland, but I would have tried to hit him with a 2-year contract. You already got your money, but obviously Portland was willing to pay him probably more than other teams were willing to pay him. So, I mean, if I was the Knicks, for sure, I would have did it.
Yeah, you want to mentor some young guys? Mentor these 5 guys that's about to go to the G League. Go mentor them. You want to be a mentor? Yeah, go do that while you sit and get better. You're only adding to your championship depth.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. But anyway, gentlemen, thanks for letting me rock for a few minutes. Y'all know what it is.
Appreciate you, brother.
Big fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I like the fact that he went back to Portland because I don't know, where was he going?
And again, imagine he went imagine he went to Golden State, right? That's where he's from. Imagine he went to just a contending team. It's like you said earlier, he get that ring potentially and didn't even play, but he on the team. How satisfying is that? How legitimate is that? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
And you know the talking heads, they're not gonna respect it. They're not gonna be like, oh, he's an NBA champion, but he was on the bench that year. He was in the suit. He was hurt. Right. He'll be like, so I don't know. I really like him going back there, and you know what I mean. I see Jordan Smith, Jordan Smith. I'm assuming, right? It's been a while, but he said he's running from the smoke by going back to Portland. He's not even going to play for a full year.
Yeah. We got Nick from Jersey on the line. Nick, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing tonight?
Good.
Salute, family.
want to say about the kids. It really depends on who Mike Brown starts. You know, that's going to determine the rotation off the bench.
True.
If he starts Mitchell Robinson at center, then you're probably going to have Forty as the kid, rounding out that 10-man rotation as the backup 5. You know, if he starts Towns at center, Cordy's not going to be in the rotation. It'll be Mitchell Robinson as the backup center. You know, so and then the 10th man will be probably, you know, one of the guards or something like that. So who do you think Mike Brown's going to go with the starting lineup?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very hard to say. It's very hard to say.
Also depends on who that veteran minimum guy is.
Yeah, who that veteran minimum. You know, if he wants to push the pace, he may not want to do double big if he's trying to push the pace.
Yeah, I mean, and then the other thing is, you know, there's all this pressure now from the experience from last season. A lot of acrimony about Josh Hart being in the starting lineup. Does he dare start Josh Hart in this, you know, at small forward again?
Right.
To start the season? Because if he does, I mean, right now, let's say he started that lineup with Towns, OG, Hart, Bridges, Brunson. Now the bench is Mitch, Yabusele, Clarkson, and Deuce, and then somebody there has to be the backup 3, maybe Dadiet.
Maybe.
Or whoever they sign, you know.
Whoever they sign, right. Yeah.
Unless they want to play Clark, you know, could they play Clarkson at the, could they go ultra small and play, I mean, if they re-sign Shamet, that's pretty good right there.
If they go,
you know,
if you put Clarkson in that lineup, I mean, is it going to be too many shot hunters with Clarkson?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
A lot of people don't like Deuce the point, but Clarkson's a good ball handler and he could create his own shot. So it's really like Clarkson's kind of the point guard there, even though he might be, you know, technically the 2 guard. You know, you put Clarkson and Deuce as the guards, Shaman and Yabusele as the forwards, and then Mitch at center. But that's assuming that.
I thought you meant Clarkson in the starting lineup. I thought.
Who in the starting lineup?
No, I thought you meant Clarkson in the starting lineup.
Oh no, they're not gonna. Yeah. I don't see that happening.
Right.
I think Clarkson playing with the starters is going to be very interesting. If you put Clarkson in there with Bridges, OG, Towns, and Brunson, that's ultra offense right there. That'll be a good lineup, but I don't think they're going to start it like that.
Right. That'll be, you know, I think too many minutes together. I think it'll diminish the returns. I think because just too many. Not a facilitator, no facilitator at all.
Right.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how Mike Brown. I guess in order for me to even figure who he should, in my brain, who he should start, I want to see what he's doing.
Yeah, I definitely think he's playing 10 now.
10?
I think he's going to play a 10-man.
I can see it.
Yeah, just because the experience with the Thunder and with the Pacers, I feel like that's the way the league is going. And I think, you know, I honestly think if they brought Tibbs back, Tibbs is going to play 10. Like there's a lot of pressure on the Knicks now for them to expand the rotation consistently. Right. And I think Brown will definitely start off the season playing 10. And, you know, we will be able to determine, I think, what the starting 5 will be based upon who this last guy that they sign is. Yeah. And then we'll also be able to determine which one of the kids has the best shot as being a rotation piece.
Right.
You know, if they sign Shamet, if they sign Ben Simmons, there's your ball handler. I guess you're playing Ben Simmons as your backup point guard.
Yeah.
And you like Clarkson at the 2, Hart at the 3. You know what I mean? That's pretty interesting lineup.
I mean, I kind
of err on the side of
start Ben Simmons.
I could even see Ben Simmons starting.
That solidifies your defensive with 3 wings now.
You know,
got Brunson and Towns
as a facilitator. He can help facilitate. He can handle the ball some.
Yeah,
I could see
it's definitely a different look this season, across the board with all these guys. And I think the great thing about Clarkson is that, last year it was a lot of like, they were depending upon either Bridges or Anunoby to have a good game. They kind of like rotated. If Bridges was off, OG would step up. If OG was having a slower game offensively, hopefully Bridges would step up. Now it's like they got an extra guy there who it's like both of them are having an off game. Clarkson could step up and score 15, 16 points,
Right.
I mean, that's what he averages.
I was about to say that.
It's good to get that extra punch off the bench.
Yeah. See, it's definitely going to be interesting, man. I can't wait until training camp starts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. Nick,
Yeah, and I'm feeling good about Brown. I think, he's a good coach,
He is.
So I support him. And I think it's all about personality and fit. And I've seen clips of him and, coaching guys. He reminds me of, Mike Woodson in terms of his swagger, with the team.
Right.
So I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Nick, I appreciate your time, man.
Take care, guys.
Take
Bye.
care. Peace. Sean said, Sim, are you related to Ben Simmons or something? Sean, right now I'm couch surfing. If I was related to Ben Simmons, I'd be on his couch. You think what I'm saying? No. Obviously not. I just think that he fits this basketball team. That's all. That's all it is. That's all it is, Sean. I just think he fits this basketball team.
Do you think, because there's been a lot of talks of Brown using Towns in a similar vein as Sabonis and being that hub of facilitator. What are your thoughts on that? But the first thing that comes to my mind is how much slimmer Sabonis was when he got to Sacramento compared to
I think that
and I don't know if that was a direct correlation to Brown, like, yo, we need you to drop some weight or trim the body fat or whatever the case is, but he looked totally different when he first got to Minnesota. I mean Sacramento.
mm-hmm.
And he's maintained that size since.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's gonna have to get in there and practice with Towns and see, because I think Sabonis is like more nimble than Karl Anthony Towns. You know what I mean? Karl Anthony Towns has good footwork, but he's got way bigger feet. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna make it hard to a little tougher to maneuver. You know what I mean? Cat's also a little clumsy too. Sabonis is under control a little bit more nimble. He may not have the talent, but he is those things. So,
and he uses his strength.
He uses his strengths, makes better decisions. Karl Anthony Towns has some mental lapses sometimes. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's the beginning of the season is going to be a real fun part of the season to just see, what it is that Mike Brown is going to do. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, months ago, I told y'all about Ben Simmons. I told y'all the Knicks should look at Ben Simmons. A lot of y'all was like, some of you guys are still, some of y'all are still getting on me about it. But some of you guys have turned the corner too. And obviously the Knicks think a little bit more about Ben Simmons. I think he's the guy. I think he's that next guy to get. I think he'll help complete this basketball team. That's my thoughts. Tony, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I'm mad. Summer League is over. It was a nice little journey to see a couple of little tidbits out there. It's gonna be interesting
Yeah.
what decisions I made, in these next coming months.
Yeah, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time. Have a great day tomorrow, today, whatever. We out. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. Tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.